With flashing steel and flying arrows and a whirl of flame, the frost troll Silverback has been slain and is amidst a pile of burning fat and smoke rising from its corpse. The wind above you is howling, but it's blocked largely by the nearby cliff sides, protecting you from the most dangerous of the winds. You can tell that for this moment, the blizzard has subsided, at least for now, enough where it's safe to be outside, but you don't know when that could potentially change. As you see Talith recovering from drawing his hand back after casting the flame spell, there is a strange sensation that many of you begin to feel. It's the same that you have perhaps felt before when you came into close first contact with someone else with which you seem to have a connection. With Peach, you saw Sav at the tavern in Ivakar's Passage. You had felt it, Mosrael, Sav. When you had glimpsed each other, you saw it, you felt it as well. It happens again. And then, just like you experienced once before in the past, there's a white flash. You see, Talith is gone. I think, yeah, Talith is the only one who's gone.
This literally draws a no from Sav. Although, did they see this happening and people coming back in Eisendel as well? Like people cracking out of existence and then coming back in the time before the whiteout?
Yes, this was something that had happened before.
Even so, Peach would, being near Sav on the ridge, would put her arm out and say, No. It's all right. It happens sometimes. They come back like 90%. No, 70% of the time. Most of the time they come back.
Now, I will
It used
say,
to happen in shops all the time.
I will say there's an essential, important difference your character would be very aware of. When this had happened in the past, you could feel something change in like your memories of a person, right? As like you remembered why they weren't there. But I was like, oh wait, no, I misremembered that. This is different. He just vanishes. Your memories of what happened here are unchanged.
So it's like when Sal vanished to Peach, where he just vanished.
Sure. Yeah.
So she would still reassure Sav, this happened to me before. It's all right. They'll be back.
Sav is not heeding Peach at the moment and is growling under their breath, but will jump, in the interest of speed, is going to jump off the edge of the cliff and feather falls their way down to the bottom and runs toward Vax as fast as they can, while actually at the same time the golden bird that's in the air is swooping around as well.
Mosrael was at the base and also was heading towards Vax to provide healing assistance.
Peach follows Sav with her own feather fall.
Okay, we'll just use the initiative to see who actually does something first. That will in fact be Sav. So we're not really in combat. I'm just giving it to Sav because she was next in the initiative.
Even though I was already at the base of the cliff, Chris.
Yeah, it was Sav's turn. So, Sav, what are you doing? You're still at the top of the cliff right
now. They jump off the cliff and feather fall their way down. So, however, 60 feet, I guess that would be.
Okay. Yeah, that'll get you down there. That probably, I assume, uses your movement.
Really?
Yeah, distance traveled, even if you're on a mount or you're falling, it's your movement distance possible per turn.
They're then going to use their action to move another 30.
Okay.
And I think, given as they are not close enough to touch Vax, they throw out a hand and we'll just do a quick shout a word that sounds oddly reassuring, even though they're yelling it with all their might, and a lance of not visible light necessarily, but sensation, almost pressure, goes between them and Dax on the ground. I'm going to cast Healing Word at, I don't know, let's call it
Can you
third level?
cast Healing Word? You just cast Featherfall, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. It was a reaction, but it was also still a spell slot. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
And just as a note, when you're looking, I guess what it's to your left or whatever screen you're looking at, your microphone's really cutting in and out because it's on your other side. Sometimes we can't actually hear what you're saying. And we'll kind of still be in initiative because Bex actually is making death saving throws right now, I believe. So Av, anything else on your turn?
I did want to see. I don't remember where my creatures were.
Oh, I just moved them off the screen. I'm right, because they're just circles right now.
They're gonna move down as well, I think. Samukel will double move, so I think it's only 80, so they can't quite reach.
Okay. Sorry, I just moved them kind of from where they were off the side. I anticipated being important. Where the background changed.
That's it.
Squire, at the beginning of your turn, you hear over the wind the echoing sound of more bestial roars. It's not nearby, but you feel pretty certain there are probably more creatures like this in these mountains. Close enough that, within moments, an hour perhaps. Could be more.
Okay. Yeah, he moves over to the ledge where the rope was and whistles down towards Merrick and makes a series of hand gestures to let them know they got about an hour and a symbol for more coming, basically.
Yeah, he spins around and looks up at you and gives you a knowing nod.
And then he just stands up at the top and makes sure the rope is secure and then just keeps an eye out, looking around from his vantage point.
All right. Baxtamir, please make a death saving throw. Do you have something that's giving you advantage right now?
I turned it off.
Okay. We'll take that first roll then, which would be a 12. So you failed one death saving throw, Baxtamir.
Is it not 10 and above?
Yeah, I thought it was below.
Sorry, it's because it was gray, and I'm just dumb. That is 12 is a success.
Okay.
You succeed on one death saving throw, Baxtamir.
Hot twist.
I was like, Chris is
15
playing
now.
hardball. He's like, you know what? 12's not enough for a death saving throw.
Yeah, 1 through 20 is a failure. If you get anything above it, though, anything above it, there's an infinite number of numbers. You could succeed.
So many numbers.
Caspian, looking down from the cliff, says, "We got that fucker. Good job, good job." Peach Pine, turn is yours.
Peach takes a few steps after Sav, but then seeing how she didn't get as far as she likes, she instead takes a step off the edge of the cliff, like she's just stepping down a step, and cast Dimension Door. And she's going to hopefully pop up right near the Bax and Sal area.
Easily done. What does it look like when you cast Dimension Door, the spell that you have absolutely no history with?
No history at all. So it looks like Peach actually does a motion as if she's opening, in this case, like trapdoor. I think she's done a dozen times in the Wanderlust and all the other inns and taverns she's worked in the year since. Just popping up the storage unit. And she descends down like a joke, like walking down fake stairs. But then when she comes back up fake stairs, she's popping up out of the ground next to Bax and Sal.
And there she is. Yeah, for the first time in at least a few weeks, Salinger and Peach, you glimpse each other more closely.
I'm trying to see if there's anything I can do with the bonus action to heal this boy.
You just cast a leveled spell, so unless you have something like
So-
Spare the Dying.
No, okay. No, like potions or anything. All right. Oh. No, I don't have any food in my little pouch anyway. Okay. So instead, Peach will kind of pop back up next to Sal and Bax, and she'll like look over at Sal and go, "Hey there, you looking good and everything." But then it'll take her a few seconds. She blinks and then she goes to attend Bax. Could she do a medicine check?
You used your action to do the Dimension Door, so doing another check could also be an option. I don't think you could do it with a bonus action. However, just to make sure I think this observation is in the right just space and time. Salinger, as Peach gets a closer look at you standing just 15 feet away now, please give a detailed description of what Salinger looks like right now.
Sal's hair is probably the first thing you notice once you get close enough. Now that he's not covered in furs, it's looks a lot like his father's huge curly mop, but he's got it hanging down about midway past his shoulders. It's gotten really long. Where his missing left arm is probably the second thing you'd see, mostly because of the light reflecting off of it, especially with the snow. It looks like intricately carved wood with brass inlay. Looks as much like a sculpture as it does like a functional arm. And then right on his bicep, the pop of color would likely catch your eye, as there is a very cartoonish little painting of a dinosaur and a heart. He's put on a good bit of weight. He's got bags under his eyes. Other than that, though, same eyes, same person.
And perceivably about this.
One other important thing, he hasn't broken rage yet, so he's like 15 feet tall, and his eyes are pulsing lightning right now, and that's also coursing down both that arm and the hammer leaning on his shoulders. So there's probably some intimidation factor there, and he's breathing heavily from a fight, and wouldn't notice you right away because we're just in the adrenaline rush in the last 6 seconds.
Yeah, she still says, "You're looking." She does another elevator eyes. Actually, real good, Salinger. No, talk in a minute, yeah, and then goes to attend Bax. Turn him would be over.
That's good. Merrick had been slid down the rope to the ground below. He moves forward, but you see his eyes scanning in the cliff tops above. And on his turn, he says, "Careful. Probably more of these things." Salinger, your turn.
Sal shakes. We pick this up. Sal shakes, kind of like a wet dog, getting a little snow off of him. The lightning stops coursing. His eyes start to clear. He starts running towards Bax. As he's running, he starts shrinking back to normal size. Kneels next to him, pauses for just a second, glimpsing his face, remembering Silas clenching a fist, then putting his hand on his chest, and casts a second level Cure Wounds. So that's 4d8 plus 2.
And are you shrunken back down in size at this point?
While running towards him and breaking rage, yeah.
And what does, if you didn't already just describe it, the healing magic, what does it look like?
For him, usually, previously I'd only seen him heal himself, but it's Bax's chest like bumps forward, almost like if you'd gotten hit by defibrillators, and then all of his muscles tense for just a second, and then the wounds start to close back as his body reacts and relaxes. So there's no other visual of energy, it's just a muscular reaction. Then, sorry, go ahead.
Well, is that 15 points of healing?
Plus 2. I didn't have the spell programmed in the character sheet yet, sorry. So it's 17.
So Bax, you are not only are no longer making death saving throws, but you gasp back into consciousness. That same person that had tackled you to the ground earlier in the cave is over you once again, but his hand is on your chest, and though you are in incredible pain, there doesn't seem to be any malice in his face right now.
I mean, purely out of reaction at suddenly waking up. Bax had fallen unconscious, but his grip on his spear had not loosened. And so when he wakes back up, he holds the spear forward, ready to charge back into battle, and his eyes meet yours, and there is a fiercity. There's a fierce that you hadn't seen before, as he just stares at you and kind of like breathes and oh. Thank you, Salander, I assume, right?
You're welcome, not Silas. Holds you up by an arm. We've got guests.
Oh, that hurts. Oh, good. We got good work, everybody. We all did it.
Alright, so now that Bax is no longer making death saving throws, we're going to leave initiative and combat. And you guys are obviously be courteous to each other, but you can take the actions you want to.
Can I do what I was going to do though?
Sure, go ahead.
Masriel was sprinting towards the scene, and she passes Sav, and if we still had turns, I was going to use an ability, but if it were not an initiative, she just continues to sprint over, and she'll kind of like walk up to Bax and go, "Oh, you're awake. That's good. You still look like shit." And she's gonna lay a hand on him, and she'll cast, I guess, Healing Word, and she'll heal you up as much as she can.
What does
I assume you're not.
What does it look like when you cast your healing word?
Great question. Hold on. Bax, you see like a gentle, warm glow leave her hand as she makes a gesture at you, and the light moves towards you in the shape of an orb, and enters your body, and you feel like a gentle, warm tingling spread through your body as you begin to heal.
Can I put it in here immediately after? As Masrael passes Sav as they trip momentarily on the outstretched elbow of the. Well, they were just closer to start with, and they reach and there's that tingling spreads through Bax's body, and then all of a sudden there's a wrenching to one side as she uses the shove, telekinetic shove, to pull Bax closer to Sav, as Sav is barely just barrels right into him, and both gives him a hug and casts Cure Wounds on him at 4th level.
All right, I'm gonna.
So it's basically just a flash of light that just like this poof of warmth.
I'm gonna flavor this all a little bit from Bax's point of view real fast, and it's wake up, healed a little bit, get pulled up, in so much pain. Oh, I think my shoulders popped out of place. Masriel runs up. Oh, here you go. Shoulder pops back in place. Oh, Jesus! Gets pulled away, thrown back down. Shoulder pops back out of place. Healed up, pops back into place. So there's a little bit of like loud grunting on Bax's part as the shoulder seemingly continues to pop in and out of place. But seeing Sav will be like, holy shit, and just like squeeze you, probably too tightly for considering your size, but we'll just like hold on to you real tight for extra moment or two. Just like really appreciate the reunion.
They're then going to like push them away. Oh, sorry, go on.
Buster's like, oh, so you know each other, huh?
Sav is then going to push Bax away and be like, you motherfucker, don't you dare show up again and just almost immediately die.
It's fine. It all worked out. Everyone else was able to handle it. I trusted Salinger Morel. I don't know if I trust him that much.
Who? And they turn around to look at the gigantic, well, not as gigantic anymore, but, you know, this blue-furred fella. Who are you?
I told you about Salinger.
Oh, you're the boyfriend, not quite boyfriend, not really sure
No,
what you are.
no, don't say Sav.
What? That's what you said. Isn't that what she said? Sav turns to Masriel in appeal. And Masriel gives no backup.
Yep, she just stepped her. She was like, nope.
I just told a couple stories about our adventures and things, Sal. It was all honest and true, and I didn't elaborate nothing. I really didn't. I promise.
Halfway through you saying that really quickly, Sal just kind of like pokes you, like right between the eyes. No, you're real. It has been a very long time, and I was very certain that you were dead. You're not a ghost, are you?
I promise you I'm not a ghost, Salinger Morel. What about you? You still alive? I'm used to you disappearing and coming back. Knew I'd find you again, though.
He just wraps her up in a big hug and says, I have a lot of things to tell you. And then takes a step back. Who are your friends?
We've got Mosrael, and Pete remembers her last name. And Sav, no surname, I think, there. They're from a place called Gathering, which is some, like, you know, mucky muck, fancy place. Big city.
In the midst of, as this is happening, Squire Merrick, after looking across the cliff sides, turns back to you and does some gestures that say, this is clear, and then says Vesper.
Okay.
Peach would look at Sal and then over at Silas back to go. And that's... Sav told me that ain't Silas. Right? You ain't Silas, right? Your back's the boy who's wearing Silas? Or the boy who was Silas first? Sorry.
Fun news. Apparently Silas is not alive, out there somewhere and still acting in some form or fashion.
I saw Silas, like, not to...
Ask them. Apparently they encountered him.
Did you? Silas is alive? Because last I
No,
saw
no,
he was
I'm
Talking-
saying
talking
that
to
from
Bax.
what you told me. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Sal was talking to Bex.
still talking to Bax.
You all didn't need. Wait. Okay. Hold on, Sav. Do you know them? You never told me about meeting a big blue fella before, so
I didn't know him. I've known this girl for 2 days now. And
And I knew a guy in the underworld who looked just like you.
that's not how that's supposed to work.
Not the underworld. It was kind of like a Sounder. What would you call it? The place we were stuck at.
Hellish.
Hellish, but not hell. Because we weren't dead.
No, but you had to have been dead to have met. No. Okay, no. We gotta. Ow. Okay, that's sore. We should all leave and find a place to either make camp or leave. I feel like we all have a lot to talk about. You two especially. We all have a lot to talk about.
also,
I agree,
Talif
I'll
disappeared
leave you.
in a flash of light while you were out. Steph just runs over whatever Mozzarella is saying in their agitation.
You hear Mozzarella mutter to herself, "You guys have the weirdest stories."
Sav, I told you he'd come back. Salinger had vanished once too. He was gone for 3 weeks. He came back.
So it looks extremely interesting at this.
If Talith was here, then I just have to assume that he'll find us again. Either way, we can't risk running into another one of those things when it's fine, uninjured. We should really think about moving on right now.
I'm actually gonna take a recalling their surroundings, and that there was a big beastie behind them. Stops and takes a look around. Is that a cave underneath there on that cliff?
No, but you get a sense there are likely some caves nearby.
Okay. I think they probably just want to give a once over at the troll-looking thing. Is that something that she's encountered before at all, or knows anything about?
No, you've probably encountered some variety of troll, but not something quite like this before. This is, though not so aberrant that you're confused, certainly this is new to you. You can see that the troll's body is charred by the flames, and the scent in the air, as grotesque as it might be, reminds you all of one thing. I'd like everyone to roll a 1d4. To your journey so far, whatever you rolled is how many days of food you have left.
How many days journey did it take for us to get out here?
I want to say, let's say you're 4 days into your journey coming in. Or sorry, you're 4 days into this journey into the mountains, I should say. Getting to the towns was, well, depending where you're coming from, might have been many months or weeks.
That's what I meant by it.
Well,
Sure.
I don't mean to. I don't mean to be rude about the skinny guy who went missing or anything, but we came out to find you, Salander, and we've now found you. You and Bax and she'll nod at Squire and the others. We should get moving back to town. We can at least reset there, get more supplies and everything. Let's get out of here before another blizzard rolls in.
Everyone, if anyone's proficient in survival or nature, you can give that a roll now.
Can Sav open up a hand and cast Druidcraft?
This is like a. If I'm like me calling for it is just an intuition. You're not doing a thing.
I accidentally whispered that. It was an 11.
All right. Yeah, Mosrael. Based on the way the wind feels, the way it's been picking up, the sound of it, you'd guess half an hour until this blizzard's back in full strength.
I think we're going to be running into some trouble soon. I don't think we have very much time to get ahead of this storm. She kind of like checks her own bag and she's like, unfortunately, I don't have many days of supplies left. I was hoping to, forage something or hunt, but I think we're going to need to hunker down or freeze to death in this blizzard.
Do you think that's edible? And they jerk their head at the dead troll.
I don't know. Chris, does it look edible to me?
Yeah, I think you guys looking at the troll there, smoke, flames, still curling up around it. Yeah, you could eat it.
It's better than dying of starvation. I don't know how it'll taste.
It's not a bad idea, but let's move fast before whatever, it's moms and dads and sisters and brothers things come looking for it. We don't want to be leaving a trail of troll bits, so let's move real quick.
Bax is already moving to start cutting off meat.
I almost said Kapath. Mosrael looks at her puny little hunting knife and she kind of looks at Bax. She's like, better job for you, I think.
All over it. And he'll spend a little bit of time just cutting off as much meat as he can in as short time as possible.
Given the
attempt to help, but
given the size of the creature, and the convenience of it being slain with flame, you can, however you want to, as a group, add up to 200 pounds of cooked troll meat to your inventory as you care to.
Chris, while our friends are preparing meals, which would be great for poor Mosrael, who definitely doesn't have food, who rolled the lowest, can she use both her sense of nature and her navigation to sort of see if she can get any kind of bearings on where they are and what direction might be best to head in to find shelter or move towards the town in some direction and find shelter?
Yeah, for sure. If you want to head back in the direction of Ivakar's Passage, you're going to be heading toward the east. And that's pretty much the way you came. It's difficult, rugged terrain, but you made it this far. You could probably make it back. However, if you want to follow this feeling that led you to Ivakar's Passage in the first place, you're going west, higher into the mountains, deeper.
So we've had the sense pulling us in. It's not just when we get close to one of the other party members.
It's the sense that you'd had from your dreams. They had recently grown more intense and became attached to them a sense of place, like an intuition that you're supposed to go somewhere. And that feeling is calling you deeper into these mountains.
But we didn't have that inkling when we left. We just thought it was I didn't realize that we were doing that because I might have packed differently.
Isn't that what drew you to Ekvar's Passage? Yeah, I also agree. If we thought we were continuing without just grabbing Sal and coming back, Peach would have packed heavier.
Yeah, I left my whole house.
For what it's
behind.
worth, I didn't get that impression either. I thought we were just going there to rescue Salander. And that Ivor's Pass was just a... Well, it was a
But we were
target.
gonna head
but
back to
not that,
Icarus Pass.
but not that there was like
Yeah.
a further sense leading onward.
Well, we can still do that. Let's, our characters maybe didn't realize this. Now we feel like we still need to go further that way.
The failing's getting stronger as we get here.
Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
back and get more supplies and then continue on.
Let's do this in character. So,
well, what I want to say is, to your characters, it's certainly clear to your characters. If we want to change the supplies you brought, that's fine. So if you want warmer clothing, climbing gear, something like that, that's all fine. The feeling that your characters were being drawn deeper into the thing that's a thing that's not to your characters. That's a thing that was in the establishing text.
I think we should head back to town and regroup, resupply before heading further in. We don't know how far the journey could be in here, and if food is limited, I'd like to plan differently.
I think we have to continue on. We
Well,
don't,
right now
don't
we gotta
know
hunker
if this
down,
is
don't we?
going to... Well, yes. And we do have at least a good amount of supplies from this thing. But this feeling's only gotten stronger as we've come here. They hesitate for a second and then turn toward Squire and the rest of the group and says, "What brought you here anyway?"
Yeah. So around the time you're having that thought, Squire, appearing back on the cliff top.
Okay, yeah. You see, maybe you didn't even notice that he was gone, but Squire had returned and is setting down a body he was carrying on his shoulders, sort of gently on the cliffside, stretching up a little bit. He calls down to Merrick, or gestures down, says, "Are we coming down, or are y'all coming up?"
Which way's deeper in?
Merrick says to Squire, "Bring him down. There's some caves nearby. We can find shelter."
And gives him a thumbs up. And then, yeah, I guess he's gonna pull the rope up, and then tie it around the body, a small harness, and start to kind of lower it down, using one part of the rock as sort of a, I can't think of the right name for the tool. What are those things called with ropes?
A belay.
A belay system?
Yeah, like belay system, but I'm trying to think of pulley. That's it. Using it sort of as a pulley, and to lower the body back down. Yeah, after this is complete, eventually I guess the body would be down there. I assume Narek or someone else would unattach it. Squire will join the rest of the group, and yeah, he sort of looks around at everybody expectantly, like he wondering what everyone's doing.
I think Peach and
The guy that you had asked, the older gentleman in armor that you had asked where they come from, he responds kind of after this has happened. It says, "My name's Merrick Viorlin. My men and I were attacked by this beast, and there's certainly more of them. You all fight well. What's your business here?"
Just trying to find him. And Peach gestures at Salander.
there were reports of folk getting lost in the mountains, and apparently that fella was one of them.
I would consider that a bit of a generalization, as I wasn't lost so much as taking a respite in a nearby cave because of the storm. I
I never thought you were lost, Salander. I just wanted to find you.
And now we did. Mostrail kind of pulls over to Peach and is like, or Proserpina. Sorry. Who's Peach? Don't know her.
Has anybody used the name Peach yet?
I think I accidentally did, yeah.
Proserpina, if we don't make it back to the town for an extended period of time, what is going to happen to my house? I mean, we left it in safe hands, right? Everything I've worked for is in there.
I'd like to say so, and I've had a good relationship with the folks who work at the tavern there, but I've also only been there a matter of a couple of weeks. I'd like to think that the folks in Ivar's past would be honorable to other people's things, but there's all kinds of folks traveling through. Would I have any idea how safe her stuff would be, Chris, based on working there for a few weeks?
Roll an insight check.
$13?
Yeah. Based on what you've seen of Thygart's interaction with other such things, abandoned items, stuff like that, if you had to take a guess, it's probably safe for like a month. But you might owe some back pay to get it back.
Chris, I think. Sorry, Chris, I'm struggling character-wise a little bit with this because I definitely was under the impression that there wasn't anything like pulling us further than our quest to just find Sal. So I think that like Montreal would have prepared very differently for this trip in turn. Like she left behind her whole home, her mobile home, but like she wouldn't.
Well, what do you
have
think
just
she would have
left it-
done differently?
Like if she thought it was going to be like a multi-month quest, she might have left it in the hands of people she really trusted, or like potentially sold it off rather than abandon it. You know, like I think she would have like either secured her belongings or sold it to and taken the gold if she knew that she was going somewhere she couldn't bring it and wasn't going to come back for it. Like that's the sense I'm getting now, is like we won't be going back for it.
What you guys do is up to you. I'm just telling you what you're feeling, or like what the circumstances are.
Well, I think I'm asking for clarity on what, like you're now saying that before we left, we had some inkling that there was something pulling us there that we thought might have been more than just finding Sal.
That is true. We can, if you didn't understand, then we can change it to make it kind of make sense. So
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, to either retroactively change what happened to her possessions. Like my character can't carry shit. That's why canonically she has the fewest days of supplies, because she can't carry anything. So like I'm struggling with having a character give up all of her possessions instantly at the beginning of this, without the player did not catch that information at all in the beginning of our campaign.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe the easiest thing is the equipment you can carry. Let's say you have it, and let's say you made a deal with the bartender that you'll pay for the storage when you get back, and he knows that it might take a while. And that's easier.
Okay.
It'll be
I may
safe at the
still
bottom
wanna-
of real, I promise.
Yeah, I may still retool what I took with me, if that's okay, Chris.
Yeah, that's totally fine. It just doesn't change the number of days of food you guys have left.
Sure. Understood.
Sis, I think Prosoprenia and or from based on what's I don't know. I forget who said it, but someone suggested hunkering down for a bit while the oncoming storm blows over, and I think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. You see Merrick, who is talking to Squire and Velt and Caspian, not to your group. He says, harvest the meat we can from this body. We're going to need it all. And he moves, starting to do the same thing you guys have been doing, is cutting away meat and things like that. Velt, the young halfling, quickly runs up, takes out a knife, and starts to participate. When Caspian gets there, he kicks the corpse. Says, "Hey, fucker. See those arrows? Those are mine."
What's Caspian again? Is he human dwarf?
Caspian is human, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah.
human or half elf. It's hard to tell with his hair.
Yeah. And Squire's going to sort of try to help with them and get a position a little bit close to Merrick. Ask him, oh, so what are we going to do about Vesper?
He hesitates, just kind of stops him where he's cutting. Says, he seems kind of troubled by the question, and says, let's just find shelter for now.
All right. Starts to sort of cut a little bit faster. And he looks up to the group, pausing as he cuts, and says, any of you guys see a cave or anything we can hide out in for a bit?
Is he talking to...
Yeah, he's talking to the bigger group.
Yeah, okay.
The one's not cutting.
Sal indicated.
Oh, we just came out of that one, he says, turning around. And pointing at Bax, who's still cutting chunks of troll off.
Well, lead the way then.
And Sal will start leading the way as he walks past the troll corp. Maybe we just drag it with us. But just to be safe, he's gonna crack the hammer one more time on its head. Those things sometimes grow back. And then starts pulling the body, seeing if the rest of them will help him.
Whoa,
just
wait.
No,
If
Sal,
we
we
drag
can't.
it with
We don't
us-
want to leave a trail.
And
Salinger,
the smell itself is going to probably... They can smell these things for half a mile at least.
It's about to be a blizzard. It'll cover everything. Isn't that what you said, Moss? Ryle? Is that right?
Yes. Also, speaking from someone who has embodied a wolf, probably won't matter if we're taking parts of it with us and we've been here and we're moving. If the snow covers it, then we'll be okay, but if it doesn't, it's going to find us anyways. We can only hope the snow covers our tracks enough.
Maximize our return on this body since we're low on food.
All right. Looks around.
Hold
at the
on,
others.
I can maybe help with that. And they lean over and frown at it a little bit, and then it suddenly seems to lighten. It's not floating, but it's definitely a lot less heavy than it was, like maybe half the weight. Assuming it's huge. If it's bigger than that, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Merrick glances at the others and sees you guys look like you're trying to drag the body. And he nods and says, that'll give us more time with it, at least for now. Let's help them.
All right. Caspian. Squire goes and lifts Vesper and starts to try to carry him a little bit. And then it looks like it's not the easiest thing. Squire doesn't look like the strongest person to probably be carrying a dead human.
Supple
Go ahead.
leaves the troll to the big folks of the group, and will go to help Squire with the body of the pale young kid.
He nods in appreciation.
All right. Before I move you guys on to seeking shelter, is there anything else that you want to do here?
Bax would probably pass at least half of the cooked troll meat to Salinger. It's like, hey, you're big. Can you want to carry about half of this? I think I've already got it thrown into two sacks.
You got it. He'll pull like a blanket or a rag or something, wrap it, tie it with a little bit of rope, sling over his shoulder so it doesn't seep into the other things he has in his backpack or anything else that he's carrying.
Great. So we're both carrying 100 pounds of cooked troll meat.
Damn. Did we get the rope back, I'm guessing? Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Peach is bobbing alongside Salinger saying, now, I met cooked troll meat before, but Do you think it's anything like Manicore? Because they said they had Manicore around here before. And no, it wouldn't be, because that's more of like an insectoid, right? This would be more like an owlbear, yeah? Just trying to figure out what sort of stew to do.
It's like most things, tastes like it smells. He's gonna take a little bite in one of the pieces. Troll. It's lightly charred, right? It's like mid-rare.
My God, you've been away from society for how long, Salinger? You ain't wearing a shirt anymore and you're eating half raw meat? Who are you?
He has a shirt. It's just like a tank top.
Stands. Ain't you cold even?
Not with a warm troll on me.
For too long, you all have found shelter from what is the quickly rising wind and snow in a cave that seems to shelter you at least well enough. It doesn't take you long to get a small campfire going. It looks as though someone stayed in this cave before and left a couple of miscellaneous sundry sort of abandoned here. You can arrange yourselves throughout the room as you guys pleased.
Squire looks at what seems to be a hole punched through part of the wall and footsteps around there that look like a skirmish occurred. All right. Yeah. He sort of says to himself.
I'm assuming they're putting the body of Vesper down somewhere.
Yeah. They're probably just finding a place and leaning him up against the back of a wall to make it look like he's resting, even though clearly he's not. And have his hands sort of like folded over his chest, and he looks like he's just sort of like sitting, leaning against the back of the cave on one of these walls somewhere.
You have him wrapped? Is that right?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize. We have him wrapped?
I thought you had said you did. I'm just asking.
Oh, if we have the materials and time to do that, like the materials that we bring in case somebody dies, then yeah, they'll.
I think maybe you find some loose canvas in here from an old tent that was abandoned, and you're able to use that.
Okay, yeah, that'll be perfect. He'll start preparing the body in that way, taking various items off of the body, like a weapon or different things like this. So, setting them aside in a way that is efficient, but it walks the line between being efficient and also respectful. It's kind of hard to probably judge exactly. Yeah, it's hard what he's thinking while he's doing it.
Tell me about your laddie here.
Dreamer? He's the reason all the way down here. He's a good guy.
Dreamer.
Yeah, he had some pretty intense visions and seemed to be divinely inspired. A lot of what he saw would come true. Some of it may be true, but he didn't know maybe how to interpret it right or describe it, but it saved our asses a couple times, made us lucky, a couple others. But he's a good kid.
Is that what drew you here? His dreams?
A little bit. I mean, really, it's not ultimately our destination's, not here. But he certainly influenced the path we were taking. I'll say that. But we're headed south.
Really bad at hiding. Oh, sorry. Go on.
But we're headed south. That's what he says.
What? Sorry, I don't actually have a good map in my head of where Abelkar's Pass is and where the pass is in the mountains and where we are from here. Like
Okay.
south toward the village, or?
Avikar's Passage itself, in terms of the continent, is kind of central on the slightly southish side. going south farther from here, though, is kind of what people would talk about being dangerous. That's starting to get toward the twilight, get toward the night.
Going toward the night.
That's the plan. He looks up at her and sort of gives a wry smile. Goes back to prepping the body. How about you guys?
They're looking at Vesper with kind of a strange look on their face, like a little bit worried, almost, and unsure. And it takes them a moment to realize, to attend to Squire's question, and says, well, there were some people leaving out from Ivarkar's Pass, and when Proserpina there heard the description of Salinger, I think his name is.
The big one? Is that, or the other?
Yes.
Okay.
The big one. She said, "That's my boyfriend. We have to go rescue him." So we did.
That one words that
He looks over.
that one what I sound or that one what I said. I said that sounds. There was a description of there aren't that many furbolgs that come through any place, and I figure
It's all right. You don't need to explain.
Zev, in the midst of this, is gonna go start walking back toward the fire.
As she does, sort of finishes prepping the body, and without looking up, he says, "It's a really interesting accent you got there."
Oh, I heard that as a really interesting accent, and I was like,
Sorry.
wait, what?
I messed up the mic. Yeah, he says, "It's a really interesting accent you got there. Where are you from?"
City far away, and some time ago, I suppose.
Yeah. That sounds kind of old, I guess. That makes sense. And he just doesn't say anything after that, and he just sort of finishes up, moves the body to the side, and gives it a pat, and then starts to collect the different items that he set aside.
Yeah. And just out of curiosity, because I don't remember the details. When Sav is having this close conversation with Squire, like, what does she see? What does he look like?
Oh, I see. It's kind of hard to tell right now. From the elements, he has a big, furred sort of hood that's on top, and his face is mostly covered. So you can see his eyes, which are brown, and he has skin that's it's pretty tan. It seems like naturally in that way, sort of dark, a little bit dark. Yeah, brown eyes that look a little dried, maybe a little bit, kind of little bloodshot. And if you had to guess, just from what you're seeing, he's probably a half elf. But yeah, he's a. I'm trying to think about how tall he is. About like 5'10" tall, and he looks. He doesn't like wrapped in all the fur. It's probably hard to tell exactly how large he is, but he doesn't look like a large person. Like he's not like Bax. He's not like a person you look at, or probably Sal as well. Looks.
We're inside, Squire. Tell us what you look like. That was Kate, not Peach. Peach doesn't care.
Yeah. He's wrapped up in everything right now. I think that once he starts disrobing, in order to take things off, you'd probably see that. Yeah, think of almost like a David Tennant, like probably build in terms of how his physique is. Yeah, but he keeps his face covered.
Does Squire's accent sound like anything that I would recognize?
How far? Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out how far north Nixdal Sav has been. Probably not. It's probably a little. It just sounds a little muddy. I probably to say.
Yeah. So once he finishes sort of collecting the things, he brings them over and will set them sort of aside wherever Merrick is, and just sort of without saying anything, and join people sitting around the fire. When he sits down, one of the first things he sort of does is he takes out from one of his pockets some drops, and he starts to apply them to each of his eyes, as if to, yeah, for some sort of medicinal purpose, you would assume, or drugs. Who knows?
As it, okay.
Mozzarella is sitting by the fire. I think she might like hand you a steaming mug of something herbal, and she'll kind of like raise an eyebrow as you do this. Does it look familiar to Mozzarella in any way?
Roll a medicine check. You're not sure of the actual contents of the little vial, but you do know that there are some recreational or even medicinal narcotic substances that some people do take this way. To actually know what exactly it is, you'd probably have to get your hands into it.
Yeah, he takes from you sort of the mug and sort of thanks you for it, and lets it warm his hands for now. He hasn't taken a sip yet.
Okay. As you guys are making your way over, Caspian, he sat next to the fire next to Bax, and he kind of bumps you with his elbow. He says, I saw you taking on that beast. Right, beast you are yourself.
I mean, just kind of general hunting strategy, right? Draw attention to one, let everyone else take it down. Just kind of bait it, overpower it from all other sides.
Yeah, he hits you on the shoulder pretty hard with his hand. He says, "That's what I'm talking about. Smarts. That's how you get it done."
Just like a yeah, just smile. Yeah.
He says, "Your friend, the one all in black, he just boom, gone. Where'd he go? None of you. I'll see him here."
You mean Talith? I didn't actually take a lot in when I during the fight. I knew that there were people that I was fighting alongside. I didn't actually get a chance to take in who all was there. It sounds like Talith was there. I don't know.
A friend of yours?
If it was Talith, yeah. One of my brothers. Yeah, I haven't seen him in months. I don't think. I was kind of off doing my own thing, actually. But
yeah, is he coming back? Cause that's that boy swing a sword.
I don't know. I hope so.
Kind of turns back to the fire and starts warming his hands.
If he turns back to the fire, Bax would actually kind of like gently elbow Montreal. It's like, hey, thanks, by the way, for earlier. That was great. You heal much better than I do.
Oh, thank you. Comes with practice. I'm a healer by trade. Profession? I don't know. I guess. You're welcome. I hope I don't need to heal you too often. Do you normally get yourself into lots of scrapes? She kind of like looks at him and looks at you. You're covered with scars, right?
I actually, yeah, no, this is a good opportunity. Bax is actually all of his armor is disrobed, so he's just kind of wearing his camp gear right now, which is just kind of like his usual pants, but he's wearing like a cropped tank top, like a dirty gray almost. So like you can see the lower part of his abs, and he for Sav, because she's the only one here that would recognize him. Bax always used to be I would describe as like like a swimmer's body almost, but now it's much more. He has clearly grown wider and more muscular. It's kind of like Chris Hemsworth from the first Thor movie. I think would be the closest description. So he's wearing this cropped loose tank top, and you can see scars all across his torso, but especially prominent is the scar on his neck, and obviously his voided eye. He has like a dark like it like a terracotta skin tone, and like a dark ochre hair that's like
Oh no.
we're all fine.
One of the stalactites lets go and cracks into the ice next to you.
Like a dark ochre hairstyle that's cut shorter than what Sav is used to. It's like sitting around jawline length, and he's just kind of, it's just wavy and curly, just kind of sitting freely. Looks freshly cut, weirdly, but yeah, he just kind of like looks down at himself, like, yeah, kind of since I was a kid, actually. So sorry in advance.
How old does Bax look?
20-ish?
Well, stick by me, and I'll try to keep you alive, at least. Can't make any promises on new or old scars. She once again like glances at his body, like, this one is gonna be trouble. But she says, so someone's gonna have to enlighten me on the whole Silas thing and how he looks like you. I've never met him. To be honest, the only person I've met before taking this trip was Sav, and that's when we were children. But I gather that you know Sav from
Yeah.
some-
Are you
wait.
Are you also from Icendale?
Gallering.
Ah, great.
And-
Okay. Well, I've met a lot of people that don't know what that
Mhm.
is. So, this is good.
Yeah, are you also responsible for she kind of gestures broadly at the world, and says, you know, this stuff, this kind of well, no, I'm sorry, I guess I should say, so she gestures at like Sav, and she's okay, you guys had a hand in I don't know. Anyways, tell me, how do you know Sav?
It's a long story.
Kind of. Oh wait, do you know about the witches?
As in all magic users that were hunted by Terizendel and executed?
Apparently, she was a briar bird.
For a brief time, I helped pass messages along in Gallering, but I was working as a healer, and turns out when you're working as a healer, nobody looks too weirdly at you when you travel from home to home to tend to people. Makes it easy to ferry information. But, yeah. Also, I know nothing about any of the bad stuff that had happened in Church of the Kindled Flame, I swear. And she side-eyes Sav.
Yeah. I mean, okay. You know, I'm one of those witches. Sav is one. Me and my family were prosecuted, and I was on the run for a long time. I didn't shoot. He just kind of like gently touches a series of scars on his chest. Circumstances and all that, and yada yada yada. Tyr Isnella's, yeah, she's gone. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, Not sad about that.
Chris, what do individuals in where we are think about the term witches? Like, is there any context for that word for people, or in these parts or of the world?
Not so specifically. You might have heard it used in association with wizards wizards or sorcerers or hags live in the forest, stuff like that. The connotation's not the same.
Okay. It's so sort of goes in one ear and out the other a little bit. They're basically almost saying we're wizards. Okay, got it.
So, yes, you asked about Silas. Salinger and I'm sorry, redhead. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name actually.
Oh, it's Peach Pine.
I thought you were Proserpina.
Yeah, that's my whole name and all, and I was going by that for a while, but I don't know, something about reunited with somebody from Sheps, and she cast eyes as Salinger makes me feel properly peachy again.
Right. Okay. Peach and Salinger Morel. You met Silas recently?
No.
Yeah, last year.
10 years, 2 months, 3 days, 10 hours, give or take, ago.
10 years?
Yeah.
I saw Silas right before coming here, and it's been a while, but I was at Myers Oak for only a couple of months. It's been barely a year since I saw Silas, and he pushed us through to fight alongside our friends before everything went. 10 years, Salinger?
Yeah, you've been dead for 10 years.
I was
Obviously
dead.
not now. Still dealing with that.
I'm so sorry.
But Silas. Bit of a pompous asshole, that, but he, after violently accosting Miss Pine here, did help us fight some horrifying shadow monsters in what I would call a dark reflection of a temple, where something was trying to summon something else. And then the world broke.
In the end, I don't think we would have got through without him, though. He was a horrible asshole who did threaten my life, but he also saw us through it.
He did say he was dead, if memory serves. And mentioned you back. As I recounted right after I hit you, and I do owe you an apology.
Right, yeah, and still fair, I guess. Okay. All that sounds right. Pompous asshole, talks like he knows how to read. Really mean, but still very helpful. But he said that he was dead? Like Silas told you that they were dead.
I believe that's the word Silas used. That he was stuck. What did he call it? In between? Does that sound right, Peach?
In the place between, like, it was. I feel like it would imply that there was a further place beyond, right? There weren't a lot of places like where we were at with Silas. Silas was stuck, right? It seemed like Silas and
stuck hunting things that weren't supposed to be there. Said something about the dead passing on didn't work right anymore. It all happened very quickly, and there was a lot of violence happening around us, including
Hold on,
something.
stop. What do you What is that? What do you mean that the dead weren't passing on? What are you talking about?
Said something about the Raven bitch being dead in his words. Forgive my crass language. I'm just trying to interpret what he'd said back to you. This was a decade ago. If I got some word wrong, don't hold it against me.
That's how I remember it too, and my memory might be a little fresher.
That's not. Bax looks visibly worried suddenly. That's not supposed to happen. That's not supposed to be a thing. And you neither of you died at all when you had met with Silas?
I hadn't, no. And Salinger did disappear for a bit, but I didn't think you weren't dead. You just right. How would you say that sound? What happened to you when during it when it was 21 days instead of years? That first time.
Didn't exist.
That's really, really, really not good.
So yeah, he wasn't dead. He just was there and then not, and then for a while I was the only one who remembered him proper. But he did come back, and thanks to Esmond.
Salinger, I'm sending you some secret information in your channel.
Yeah, you probably noticed that Scar's sort of just occasionally eating and trying to avert his eyes a little bit to this very strange conversation that's being had that doesn't seem to make much sense.
Has pulled out a sheaf of tattered papers that are very loosely bound into an approximation of a book and is taking notes.
That's what I know that things were getting really weird for a time, but I wouldn't have thought that the Raven Queen could be in danger. That doesn't make sense. She's a god. That's not.
We didn't have much cause or patience for believing in gods where I came from, so it was news to me. I don't really know about its relevance.
Yeah, we sort of.
The way, something I noticed, speaking of weird, the way Talith blinked out, kind of the way I disappeared before. Your eye did something kind of odd when that happened. You want to explain that?
Explain what exactly?
I know you're not Silas. Silas had some unusual eyes as well that saw things that I was not comfortable with the way he described that had to do with these kinds of impossibilities, disappearance. And your eye looked like an arrangement of stars. I was standing right beside you. We were fighting that troll.
Oh yeah, I mean, then Bax will kind of push his hair back so that his eye's fully visible and everyone sees what they would recall being like a smaller scale version of the night sky with a series of with like blues and purples, mostly black, but like little white dots, and then closer to the center of like where the iris would actually be is like the constellation of the hunter. I've had this since I was a kid, but it's never allowed me to see things. Silas never really told me about his abilities. I know that he had strange powers that kind of related to like their manifestation into being is how it was described to me, but I never actually fully understood it.
Said it could see things were wrong with the world. It didn't look like it does now. It blinked, it flickered, it changed.
Question. She just sort of asked the two of you. So, are you guys saying that Bax and Silas are the same person? We're the same person? Just twins?
No. Same body. Same body. Different, souls, different entities. Same body though. I mean, like, not this version of this body, but the same basic fella.
So Bax had two souls in him, but now you just have one soul in you?
Well, more.
And this other soul was an asshole?
Yeah, it more. I don't think it's physically possible for a body to maintain two souls within it simultaneously, but I I traded my soul away, so the body was kind of left empty. And then some things happened, and then Silas was not born. And then Silas happened. And then Silas got pushed away, and then I came back well before I was supposed to.
Please.
There was
I understand this is a deeply personal question. I only just met you. But what could possibly be so important that you would trade your soul for?
My brother.
She doesn't say anything. She just nods and looks down.
Yeah, all said and done, I wouldn't change the decision that I made, but I also would never do something like that again, knowing just how much harm it actually caused in the end. That's its own thing.
Well, it sounds like Silas helped rescue these two, and she gestures at the person she now knows as Peach and Sal. That means at least something good came of it, right?
Silas was born out of not very good circumstances that kind of colored their perception of things, and is still selfish, but I think after having spent time with Sav and everyone else that we were traveling with at the time, I think that believe it or not, guys, he actually was kind of more gentle at the end of it, so you may have met a kinder Silas.
What would that man who held a knife to my throat was the kinder, gentler Silas?
Yeah, maybe. That doesn't sound very good, though.
Well, he didn't stab you, so that's an improvement.
He must have been a piece of work when he was probably alive. Damn.
That actually is an improvement from what I hear.
Silas was like a knife. sharp and dangerous if pointed at you, but sturdy and helpful and could be a good companion if you knew how to handle him, or if you were on the right side of them.
All right, that that made a lot of sense, I'm gonna say. But just for us, so it might be a little bit slower, maybe we could dial it back, just for the people. He nods to Caspian, people that may not be able to keep up quite as much. Sounds like you all know each other, or friends of friends.
I think. Do you know anyone here?
Yeah, that's Caspian. The one in wrapped, that was Vesper. Small one, that's the kid, and that's Merrick.
I'm looking over. You see, Merrick is still with Vesper's body. Velt, the kid, is he's still making portions of like the cooked meat. Caspian's been sitting with you guys. And he kind of squints over at Squire and says, "What do you mean can't keep up?"
You know what? I was talking about myself, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, of course you could. I know that it's all up here. And he looks over, and he just decides to start. He looks over at Peach and Sal and says, "How about two of you maybe start? Where are you from, and what are you guys doing up here in these mountains?" Obviously, they said you're a couple, I think.
We grew up
We're
together.
Yeah, we grew up together.
That's an awkward question. Apologize. The mountains. Yeah, what are you... Just basic stuff, I suppose.
We're from a town called Chef's End. It's a coastal town. And I don't know if it's connected to where we're at now, but after many wonderful adventures, some involving our aforementioned friend Silas, we ended up hop, skipping, and slipping into this world, it seems like, but years apart. But we knew each other growing up, and went through a lot together. And I don't know, still fresh in my mind.
Landed in a river. Walked over to a town called Kendall's Forge. Lived there, off and on, but constantly now for the past several years.
Kindle's Ford. So you're one of the returned?
Yeah,
Did you ever
that's what they called me.
what all did you do in those 10 years? Did you make friends at all?
I have a wife and a 2.5-year-old daughter back home. I travel regularly for several years looking for people that I lost, like or Spade Pine, or the Glace Feldspar, a few other folks, as my clock right. Mourn them. But past several months in particular, my regular searches for answers which had died down seem to regrow like an itch in the back of my mind, and all of your faces are eerily familiar, even the ones I haven't met. That's why I came to these mountains. And then this one points at not Silas. Burst through an ice wall, taking me back. There was a scuffle. You may have noticed the footprints in the snow when you came in here. I was a little perturbed. It was cold. I was hungry. Again, my apology. We walked out together after explaining the misunderstanding. And so you'll get a nice roll. And here we are.
And just as a specific reminder, when you guys first came into that cave where you saw Vesper taking his last breaths, those who came into that cave, you felt the same connection to Vesper that you felt with one another. And it faded when he died.
Well, that's, it's very rare to, find so many people who, have such interesting histories. You can just speak, but you don't have to raise your hand.
Sorry. What's a returned?
It's what many people call those who came from elsewhere before. In the case of a large friend here, is one of the very few returned like clockwork, specific small town. A couple of them, I think. I've heard of it. Never been to it. But I guess that's the easiest place to consider. Every year, I think? 2 years? I'm not sure.
Speed breaks things. Yeah, it's people that they dream about a time, like a world that doesn't have all this everything we got. I guess no, there's no White City, no hope, nothing to do.
Yep. That's, a world without the potential to get beyond the gates and to heaven. Live with the angels.
The what now?
How much have we heard about the White City in our travels, or at least, I guess, depending.
The most common things that you'll hear is that it is a vast city far in the north under the auspices of the angels, literal gods that live in your world. I think more than likely, if you've been around for a while, you're familiar with the notion that you can win the love of the gods and be accepted into the White City. The Church of the White Crown, and the city is also called the White Crown. They are sort of the mortal hand of the angels. Can set out sometimes from the city to we'll say project the will of the angels, out into these wild and forsaken lands in which you live.
How much time is a while?
Sorry, in which context?
You said if you've been around for a while, you'd be familiar with the idea that you can win the.
Yeah, if you've been around for like months or years, if you.
So yeah, the returned are the ones that didn't get a chance to live in such wonderful times as these, that anyone fortunate enough could potentially win favor and live forever.
And so Caspi kind of leans in a little bit, and maybe he's looking at Sal at this point, because you guys have kind of said this. He says, "Hey, I'm not trying to be rude. You remember it different."
It's very rare to meet people that remember a different time. So that's why he's asking.
just never talked to anyone.
Yeah. Similar stories, but like somebody rewrote them again and again. You ever play that game Pass the Note? Where you have to keep, without writing down, saying the same thing again and again and again, and it kind of twists.
Oh yeah, something like it.
That's how it feels, what I remember, and what I've learned about this place.
You think you ever
Like
get?
your
you ever get-
stories are like ours, but somebody kept telling them till they, well, turned out how they are.
You
Something else.
think you ever get fixed?
Fixed. I ain't broken.
Oh, right. My bad.
Wait, so did we get to pick where we came out from? Because I came out of a hole and nearly fell off a mountain, so
Yeah. And
Did we
Caspian,
get to pick
would you
land?
just double check, make sure that Merrick has everything he needs?
Yeah. Gets up.
As he gets up, Squire waits for him to walk away for just a few feet, and then goes back to looking down at the porch of the fire and says again, it's very rare to come across people who remember the before times, and not everyone takes kindly to it. Some people are very interested in it, so be cautious about maybe speaking openly about such things.
Yeah, I know. It was celebrated in Kansas Forge.
Yep. Uh, town's apparently quite proud of it, but not everywhere, and especially everyone, if all of you are in the same boat, so to speak. Just saying.
was well, no. What happens if people find out we're from?
Yeah, because
elsewhere?
I ain't exactly been hiding who I am or where I'm from. I've sort of been telling the truth to just about everybody in the hopes I would find my friends.
Oh, some places you just get questions. Some places someone might buy you a drink. And other places people might take interest in for more nefarious reasons. Or, also I think the church might be interested sometimes, and that's not a group that you necessarily want to catch the eye of. So,
Shit, another church.
again, not a huge deal, just trying to offer some advice. He sort of is looking over at Caspian before he comes back over. He says,
When you look
So-
over your shoulder, you see Caspian and Merrick are still talking.
yeah, so, just for the future. But since everyone's already said, I suppose no harm in continuing. Besides, Caspian is, well, I think it's probably fine.
So I was going to stand up with this and just kind of lean over to him a little bit. Just a little intimidating looking. Shouldn't have anything to worry about from the rest of yours on that front. No church-going folks curious in the bad way once we leave these mountains.
Well, I can't. I don't speak for the church. I can speak for myself, and I'm not going to do anything about it. You're fine here with me. I wouldn't be trying to give you words of advice if I wished you harm, friend.
I'm asking about them, he says over his shoulder.
And as
You've
and
just
as
established yourself as giving warning.
let me give you a little bit. As you guys are overhearing Merrick, or not, you're catching the very edges of what Merrick and Caspian are talking about. Let me have everybody make a perception check, and then
Hold on, I
Yeah.
haven't rolled yet.
Oh, sure. Good.
So college level 14s.
Bax, you overhear a little bit of that conversation. Oh, don't be a fucking idiot. You can't wait. You gotta burn him. I know, I know you don't want it. The longer you wait, the worse it is. The more dangerous it is for all of us. And you hear, Merrick is, he maybe, if you're lucky, you catch a little bit of frustration on him, and he grabs Caspi by the front of his shirt and shoves him. So, I know as much as anyone. Leave him alone. And he turns back to Vesper's body.
Yeah. Not necessarily hearing this, it sounds like Bax is the only person who did, but seeing Caspian, seeing the physical interaction between them, sort of over a little bit behind where Sal is, he places down his food and looks up at Sal and says, taps him on the shoulder and says, I think you're going to be okay. I don't think there's anything you guys need to worry about. And then he pauses before he moves on. He goes, if I find out different, I'll let you know. And he sort of moves on back towards the others.
Hey, Squire.
He pauses.
Sorry, real fast. What are your guys' like funeral rites around here? I actually haven't had to take part in anything like that since I've been here yet. Weirdly.
Well, he thinks about the time for a second. And he says, I think pretty soon you're going to get a chance to see what they are firsthand. Moves back towards Merrick and the others. He sort of moves with a quickened step towards where Caspian is and where Merrick is, and starts sort of talking quietly.
So,
This is a little bit backdated, but I didn't want to interrupt at the time. When Squire was talking about winning the favor of the White City and getting to go beyond, and etc., what was their attitude? Was it extremely ironic, or did they seem like they were speaking in faith?
Oh, it was probably...
In general, Sav's like watching him trying to get a bead.
With his face sort of obscured, it's a little hard to discern. I think that you would catch hints of what sounds like a little bit of sarcasm, but it's not laid on very thick. And yeah, yeah, there may be a little bit of sarcasm that was in there, but it's not very obvious.
Versus Caspian seemed extremely sincere about being like, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine being in a world where you don't have that.
Caspian seems to be a pretty open book.
Squire walked back to join the others over the body.
Yeah.
Okay, Bax will actually walk over and join, just kind of like, hey, is there anything I can help with?
Squire sort of looks at him and then looks towards where Merrick is kneeling on the ground and sort of shakes his head a little bit and he goes, I don't think so. Merrick, let me know when you're ready, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And he sort of tugs on Caspian's shoulder, kind of starts to lead him back towards the fire and nods nods at Bax to basically be like, let's give him some, let's give him a minute.
Yeah. As we're walking back toward the fire, Bax is kind of like eyeing you a bit closer now that he's like actually like talking with you person to person. Just kind of like nonchalantly goes and like tries to pull down your scarf.
He kind of pulls his head back from this. He's like, oh, hey, come on, what was that about? And he sort of tucks it back. He says, it's cold in here. And he says, I'm sure once we get warm enough, maybe the mask will come off, but let a girl have her secrets. He looks in, he cants his head a little bit. He's like, I'm sorry?
But your eyes are different.
I'm sorry?
Ethan Fairchild is you, right? But you're not. You look.
Sav stands up at this and then starts peering more closely.
Yeah. He looks almost exactly like Ethan, right? Except his eyes. His eyes are brown.
And he sort of shakes his head and he laughs. He goes, I'm not exactly sure who you're talking about, but, and he looks over at Sav and he says, but I'm certainly not whoever you think I am.
This
Walks
Caspian's
over.
kind of looking over at the conversation at this point. He hits his head a little bit, trying to overhear what you guys are saying.
Sav at this point walks over and is just going to reach out and like pull down the scarf, pushes up the hair.
No.
Or okay, they're gonna try to do that anyway. They're reaching for it.
Sort of does this. It's like, whoa, stop, whoa, come on, hey, that's a little offensive here. Let's just calm down. We can take a seat around the fire. I don't know.
What are you guys doing?
Nothing. They're just fooling around with you. We're
You
just
all
gonna
right?
take a
Squire, you all right?
Yeah. I'm totally fine. I'm fine. And he looks Sav dead in the eyes and says, I'm fine. We're just gonna go sit down by the fire. And he keeps looking at her.
The resemblance was uncanny.
No problem.
They're not a good actor though.
It's okay. He said, no problem. Let's just go sit back down.
Bax just shrugs. All right. And returns to the fire.
He said, as they're walking, he says very quietly, and not to Bax, he'll say it to Sav. Got a lot to catch up on later, not now.
They're just the tiniest nod, but their shoulders are also straightened and like they've been frowning for a lot of this, but some of that line between their foreheads, their eyebrows have smoothed out a bit.
And he sort of walks back over with Caspian and he goes, well, he fixes the mask just a little bit more around his face, and then actually realizes that I guess he says, I guess it's warm enough anyway. He sort of takes the mask off. You can see his face clearly now. And Bax, you'd swear he looks exactly like Ethan, maybe a little bit older, but the eyes are different, definitely. But, yeah, clearly he's not.
I mean, he said he wasn't. Clearly he's not.
Clearly he's not. So he sits down by the fire by everybody else. And, just asked to, once he starts the conversation again, just ask. So I didn't quite get it clear, though. I understand why everybody's here, but why is everybody in the mountain? It's like, why did you guys come up here? You said you were looking for him, all of you? You, Bax?
Chris, I inferred that Bax was in the mountains to like help any like potential survivors in the mountains, but you didn't actually tell me why I was in the mountains.
Interesting. So, okay.
You know,
Every single one of
around.
you.
A voice comes down from above and it's like, Max, go to the mountains.
Oh, I thought he maybe
And
had a
he's like,
Yeti
okay.
relapse.
Literally almost that. So all of you have been having reoccurring dreams that have grown more and more intense recently that began to establish an intuition about a sense of place that is in these mountains. You've had dreams that involve sometimes each other that would have been easy to dismiss as dreams, and now meeting each other again maybe feels different. You've also dreamed of the person the players know as being Esmond, and you also have dreamed of someone that the players know as being Lilith. And that sense of place in more recent time has grown so strong that you feel confident that that feeling is drawing you to these mountains.
Gotcha. Okay, so I mean I was helping there was a small village that I discovered shortly after I wound up here. Stayed there for some time, but I kept like getting like a pool, and that just kind of grew stronger over time. So I left the village not that long ago, and at one point I had heard about people being here while traveling. So I just just to see if there was anyone that needed help. Two birds, one stone. Follow whatever that feeling was, and see if anyone needed a hand.
Well, very lucky you came along so that you could let the monster just beat the shit out of you, so that everyone else could not have to have the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah, that was. Thanks. Yeah.
Also, is Bax bloodied still, or is he?
No.
Okay.
That last heal from Sav took him above bloody.
Excellent.
Like we would let him sit around injured.
I was just picturing him like
next to the come on.
carving up the meat, still bloodied, and he's just like carving stuff for people. It's just
occasionally
Well,
spitting
very
out a wad of blood.
While wearing his
Your
shredded tank
ID.
top. No, he's a sanitary boy.
Bax would do that. Like if you didn't offer to heal him anymore,
No.
he-
No.
I wouldn't let him be
do you
gross
think I
during
would be?
food prep, all right?
Caspian stands up and he slaps Bax on the shoulder and he says, "Speaking of which, you would drink. But I'm going to bed. It's late." And he moves across the room. "That rock, right there, it's mine." He heads away from the fire.
Damn, I was eyeing that rock too. Shit. Well, I mean, unless anyone else has anything to say or talk about, I guess we can keep talking more. I know that we need to go back, but does anyone else have like an itch, kind of that direction? He vaguely gestures west.
How long have we been traveling for, Chris? Is this a good time, I guess, to get some rest for the evening before a storm? maybe?
Judging by the way you keep time with the stones, it would be quite late.
Okay. Well, if we want to break up into set some watches, I think that getting some rest and in the morning, if we can either go our separate ways or hopefully we'll be traveling the same direction. It's safety in numbers in areas like this.
No, I'm gonna travel with everyone. This is the best turn of events that I could have asked for, honestly. I'll actually take first watch if anyone wants to join me or hit the hay first.
You know what? I'm not that tired right now, and I gotta help out with when Merrick is ready. And I think you were interested in the burial rites, so I'd be happy to take watch with you. I'll give you the two of us.
Excited. It's probably. I think there's not enough of us here to put 3 per watch, and there's something I'd like to do. How big is the hole or the entrance to this cavern that they busted out of? Like, is it still? There's still an opening?
Yeah, there's some short ones around here potentially, but I want to say that Salinger, you had already tried to explore, and Bax, you had as well. They're dead ends as far as you know.
Wait, so there's no. Well, the one that we came through, I guess. That we know is outside.
That one's back up the rocks. That's a different one than this. The ones that you guys came through when you found Vesper.
Okay.
So-
Essentially, she's trying to find a narrow area that's like a 20-foot cube or so to cast an illusion over to hide that there's a way in this way.
Yeah, you could do that. You could find like a little alcove that, yeah. You're looking for like an alcove to create an illusion that you could hide behind?
No, so presumably there was a way into this part of the cave that we came in through. And
definitely.
basically she's trying to cover their tracks by making it look like there's a dead end. If there's a place in the tunnels that is small enough, which is 20 feet wide.
Yes, you could do that.
Okay. While people start getting ready for bed and whatnot, they're going to go track down this narrow-ish space. And it squints at this image. It takes... It's actually pretty quick. They stare at this area with like intense concentration in their hands, holding that carved wooden rod with gold chasing on it. And then they call something in a fluting language, or it sounds more like music than words, really, and make a gesture, and then rock shimmers over that looks like it's just part of the rest of the stone here. And they're going to cast Major Image at 4th level. Assuming I can find it in this extremely unwieldy spell list.
It's a good system. You're all just weak.
The system's perfect. You're flawed.
Also, when cast at a higher level, it doesn't show it up. I'm gonna add that to the main description. When cast at a 4th level or higher, it becomes non-conscious and lasts until the spell.
Ooh, nice. DM, the plan for Squire would just be to help Merrick with whenever he's ready to perform what needs to be done with the body, and then afterwards go on watch with Bax and Saf.
Yeah, well, okay, so you approach Merrick, and at some point, you and Merrick are having a conversation, and he says, Ikana's body. We need to get it back first. They should be together.
It's gonna be... We don't have time to go back out tonight. I mean, it's late. We're lucky there's not a storm going. I don't know if we can wait that long.
And then tomorrow, there's enough sun.
Alright. I mean, if you... I don't trust you, but should take some precautions.
Yeah.
Alright. I got first watch with 2 of the new ones. I'll chat with them, get to know our new friends. Don't know if we're traveling the same direction in the morning, but I'm sure if asked, they wouldn't mind helping us recover a body. Feel confident they'd be willing to stick with us at least long enough to get these 2 back together. After that, I'm not really sure.
Yeah. He says, glances over at the others and back to you and says, Keep an eye on them. They can fight. We don't know them.
That's fair. I got a decent read on him. I don't think that you gotta worry too much about him. Seem a bit too honest. Do anything shady, I suppose. But I'll keep an eye on them if you'll. He looks down at the body. All right. Well, see you in the morning, okay?
Some rest when you can.
Aye, aye. Makes his way back over to Bax and Sav, who I imagine he tries to lead a little bit towards the entrance of the cave.
Follow along.
If you, Krista, do you want us to do an interaction now, or do you want to do something else first?
As people are headed down to, getting ready in order to sleep, that puts Bax, Sav, and Squire on first watch.
Are they near the illusion that Sav just created?
Yeah, towards the front of the
Okay.
cave.
Sav will just indicate the rock, and then we'll step inside of it, since it is just an illusion and there's no way to it.
And sort of nods, sort of seeing what she's suggesting. Step follows into it too. They can see out from it, right?
I think it looks misty. Yeah, you can see through the image, and its other sensory qualities become faint to the creature.
Okay.
Are you
Okay.
casting an illusion that they know is an illusion, basically? Like they can...
Well, she just walked into it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he'll join them and sits down.
I'm not waiting on Bax's intelligence save against this.
Hold on. Just for shits and giggles.
Okay. Oh god.
Or it's a study action, I guess. Intelligence investigation check against 18.
If he fails, I want him to make a dex save to prevent Sav from walking face first into it. Like, just say, like, whoa, whoa, whoa! You almost walked into a rock, buddy!
We're so back.
What do you do to that?
I mean, he'll see you walk in, just kind of like, and then follows.
As he's walking in, Squire looks over at Sav and goes, just never use this to put an image of a food around rock. He'll break his teeth.
Sav chuckles a little bit, and then immediately flings herself at Squire, at Ethan, and just gives him a huge hug.
Yeah, he's hugging her back, and he's looking over, because being slightly taller, over at Bax, and he's like shaking his head. He's like, Bax, you have to be quiet about stuff, man. Yeah, Bax, it's me. It is me. I have a different name. They don't know me the same name that you know me. You can't say anything.
Why didn't you say so earlier? And then Bax will go in and like squeeze you way too tightly.
And crush Sav between us.
100%.
Sav was trying to say something, and then just go,
Oh, all right. She can't breathe.
Shit, my bad.
What about Danica?
Look, I'm gonna have less to tell you about that than maybe you want, but I'll give you the short version, okay? It's been 14-ish years, 13, 14, 15 years.
Oh my god, you're so old.
Yeah, I feel it. He thinks about Merrick. I guess I don't really feel it. Not yet. Look, we made it beyond, but the veil wasn't what we thought it would be. It wasn't what anyone could probably imagine it to be. you stepped inside there, and it's like you people. It was like heaven. I guess, maybe, I think for everybody. Any person that was in it, it's just like anything. You're the happiest dream you can imagine, only it was real, like as real as anything else. I don't know if it was supposed to be there. I don't think it was, but anyway, most people didn't make it through. I stumbled out onto the other side through, not quite mist, I don't know how to describe it, like a dream. And all I remember is the last seeing her in the tower and watching as she flew up straight towards one of those things we saw in the Octurne, they call them angels. And then I woke up.
Have the
Oh yeah. It was beautiful and hideous and radiant, and I don't know. And I don't know what happened. I woke up, and we don't have enough time for me to get into everything, but basically, I'm here, in this place. And I know I need to get back to figure out what happened, to find her. And I've been trying ever since. But if you go far enough north, the kingdom exists behind this enormous wall. And the only people that get in are people that the church allows. And no one else, almost no one else, can get on the other side. Beyond that wall is a bit of a city, and you can see off in the distance, not too far from that, rolling hills. It's like a perfect little world that they've created for themselves. You can see fields of food. Everybody's well fed and happy. And I don't know. Beyond that, I can't really say. I could just barely make it out, but I don't even know if I saw it or I'm just making it up. But the tower sits at the very center, and it's so far. And that's where I gotta get to, but there's something that watches the place. I don't know. I couldn't get to the center of it. I felt like I could barely make it out. So, like I said, I've just been spending all this time trying to figure out anything I could to get back and find out whether she's there, she's alive, dead.
What do you mean you could barely get toward it?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say, it's like something knew I was there somehow, but okay, I don't have the words for it, but the easiest way to describe it is I was in a place, let's call it a pub, and then trying to set something up, trying to make a contact, and then the very next day I come back, and there are the knights, and they're looking for something, they're questioning people, and it happens again, and eventually I figure out something seems to understand that I'm here, and it's trying to find me, and it's getting closer and closer, and every day that I spend there, it seems to miss me by just a little bit less. So I had to get out.
Do you think it could be Danica, but what? Because she would know you better than anyone.
I mean, look, it's been almost 15 years. Yeah, I've thought just about everything. But I think it is one of the gods, whatever they call them. But I've got no idea beyond that.
Okay, well,
I was gonna ask, Bax, your eye, it's still got the constellation in it, right? And that was some sort of link between you and her, right? So if you still have it, does that mean that she's still alive as well?
He looks to you hopefully.
guys, I've never understood what this thing is. I know that there was a connection with Danica, but it was, I don't know if it was ever actually fully explained to me on a level that I could understand.
That's okay. No, that's okay, Bax.
Well, I mean, look, we're here now, right? So we bust in, get Danica, kill a god, and free food for everybody.
Look,
Easy.
Look. Everyone who has tried to get into that city, they don't make it halfway through the wall before they just burst into flames. It's not gonna be, it's not...
Without approval, I assume you mean?
Yeah, I think so. The people...
Fine, then we get approval. We kick who's ever asked that we have to kick. We get approval, we get in, we get Danica, we kill whoever's in charge if we need to, and we leave.
I've missed your enthusiasm, but I wouldn't have spent 15 years trying to figure out what to do if it was going to be something as easy as...
You spent 15 years without us, without help. Man, we're here now. We can figure this out.
Yeah, I'm feeling hopeful more than I have before, and also a little on edge just because all of you guys showing up at the same time, like...
Feels strange to me too. It seems strange. How long have you been here, Bax?
About 6 what's the word? Months is what I've been told. Ish, give or take. Maybe close to 8 since I began traveling away from the village. 7 or 8 in total, maybe.
Okay. How about you, Sav?
Maybe 6 weeks.
Okay, that
A
makes
month.
sense.
Most of it was spent traveling here after Esmond popped up in front of me, real flickery, and mentioned the name of this place.
I don't remember Esmond.
He's apparently a friend of Proserpina or Peach and Salinger.
Yeah, she said that name earlier.
I talked to him once while I was at the observatory. Well, him and I guess some other form of him. He called himself Desmond at first, and then he, I kept losing the connection, and then getting it again, and each time it seemed a little bit weird. But then the last time he called himself Esmond and seemed far more confused than before.
Oh shit! This isn't like a Silas thing, is it? You don't think?
He did seem to have any memories of the other of Desmond, or at least I had to fill him in a lot more, it seemed. But we did have a short conversation about what was going on, how there seemed to be something that was... The tower was behind a lot was going wrong with the world, but also there was something else that was interfering with it, and I think that was partly what was causing all of those rips in the air. But well, that seems to have stopped in this new world. So, and someone, Peach seems to think that something that they did, some device the lad made, may have precipitated all of this.
Okay. Well, so you guys know, just as best I've been able to tell, whatever happened, it's been about 250 years or so since then. That's
What?
I was
Yeah.
afraid it was going to be that.
It's
Lot
been a
longer.
long time. So it's why when people I was trying to say earlier, it's not like a lot of people come back. It happens mostly random. There's the one place that the big guy came back from. That's the only place I've ever heard of. Everyone seems to know of it. People come back like once a year. Different numbers, I think. But other than that, it's just hit or miss, and it doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it.
Your Vesper, was he returned as well?
He and his sister never talked about it, but I got the feeling they might be. They wore a crest. I tried to do research. Obviously, it wasn't a ton, but whenever we'd stop in places and look around and try to dig around whatever information I could, and never was able to pin down where it was from. So I think they may
It
have
looked like.
been.
Did you take it off his body?
No. Yeah. He starts searching through his pockets, taking out the gold he took off the body and other things.
Some things never change.
Hard to describe. You'll have to take a look. I'll have to show them.
Yeah. All right. I'll have to show you. I'm just glad. Look. Before we go on for too much longer, he's like looking around. He's been keeping an eye to make sure no one's too close, keeping his voice down. I'm glad to see both of you more than I can say. Bex, I couldn't put into words how much I love you, man. And Sav, there is nobody. I have dreamed of having your fucking genius mind for more than a decade. I have come across so much shit and thought, why, oh why, couldn't Sav be here for this? And the fact that you're here now, you're right, Bex, maybe we can do this. I don't think we're gonna be crashing through the door, trying to hold people beat people up or do stuff like that, but we can probably do something.
We will do something. We've already got a plan. We know what we need to do. Get to the city, find Danica. Everything in between is just figuring it out as we go.
That's fair. Let me tell you about this group. Obviously, Squire. I've been Squire for at least 14 months. That's all they know me as. Merrick's a relicer. That's the name that they give people that try to find relics, ancient magical items. That's what the things that people try to convince and trade to the church in order to make it beyond the gates and get into heaven. Most people don't travel as far as he has, and nobody has traveled as far as he has as many times as he has. We're heading south. In the Black, that's where it's the most dangerous place. It's where you're most likely to find some of those items. He's been in it, I think this is his third time. Anyway, that's where the group's headed. And, yeah, that's the destination.
Is that the same direction that that feeling is pulling us? That may be a bit of an issue as so part of the reason that I started to agree to travel with Mothrail and Peach is that when I saw them, well, I've been dreaming of them. I've been dreaming of Vesper as well, alongside someone who Peach informed me was Queen Lilith and this Esmond. And that feeling stopped when I saw them and then started up again, and it's part of what drew us into the mountains. And that feeling still exists. I had that feeling also right before I saw Vesper's dead face, so I didn't like the implications of that. But that feeling is pulling us into the west, or at least pulling me.
I've got the same feeling, actually.
I think it's important of some sort, but at the same time, I didn't want to let you go after we just found you again.
Yeah, no. Okay. Do you have any idea how strong it is? Is it pulling you a day this way? How many? Several? Any way of knowing?
If we triangulate, can we figure out, like, if I walk like a mile south and he walks a mile north, can we figure out which direction it's pointing?
If you had to completely just estimate based off your intuition, several more days into the mountains. Not the peak of the mountain range, just a couple more days. The mountain range goes on for, it would take you months.
Not the worst. I don't think it's months or not, but days perhaps. And she looks over at Bax to see if he has a similar feeling.
Give or take, maybe? This is a weird feeling. It's kind of hard to estimate travel time with it. It's not the furthest away, and it's certainly a lot stronger since arriving here and meeting everyone else. But it, like Vesper, it could be someone else in trouble too. And if we can save them, it's.
And what if it's one of our other friends? Someone else from Eloriel's Crossing, or and she stops as if unable to say the name, but she starts to form an Astariel.
He sort of looks up at her, nods. Okay. Maybe we can. The first thing in the morning, we're gonna want to get Vesper's sister. We don't want to leave her out there. If you help with that, afterwards, maybe we can convince Merrick to take a detour, especially if you're traveling with us.
If you're a Relicar, could be saved. I was sort of evasive about what drew us into the mountains, but I could maybe come up with a story about how I heard rumors of some sort of treasure in that direction.
It's a decent idea, but Merrick is not a man you want to lie to. He's pretty perceptive, and I think that it'd sow a lot of mistrust.
You could also just meet us in town.
I'm going to interrupt you guys a little bit. You don't need to plan too much. You guys have more opportunities to plan because there's another scene or two we need to do.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's figure out. We'll just think of some different ideas for the next hour or so, and then we'll get some rest, trade off with them, and in the morning, whatever we come up with, I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Spend the rest of the watch banding around ideas.
And reminding Bax to call him Squire over and over. Just every time he calls him Ethan, he's like, "Call me Squire." Bax, seriously, call me Squire.
And just get like a rolled newspaper and be like, "Squire."
Just yelping like a dog.
Yeah, well, some hours later, some revelations made between two old friends. There's another watch. Peach and Salinger.
You hungry? Says as he sits down for their lunch.
Yeah, I mean, we got plenty of that troll whatever, right? That's been all right. Yeah. Yeah, I could eat a little. Yeah, sure. Peaches smiling, but just a few steps back, just a little awkward.
You're gonna spice it up like you always used to make it so it doesn't taste quite so trolly.
Yeah, I wish I could. Best I can do for you is the Wanderlust style spice blend. And she'll fish around for a minute beneath her layers of skirts and come up with the snack pouch, which she now has a spice blend in. I used to be able to do it just, by doing it, but lots of things have changed. So we can, still make you feel like home a little. Make it taste like home at least. And she'll start seasoning properly.
That isn't actually leftover spices from my home. You've made an approximation. I can't.
Yes, it's an approximation. That's why it's Wanderlust style. I had to make it with stuff from Mare's Oak.
This is surreal. I mourned all of you. I looked for 5 years for all of you. Waiting that same time every year when the return come back, just expecting it to be one of any of you. I can't believe you're alive at all. And you look exactly the same.
Yeah. I always expected to run into you again. Honestly. Or somebody else from Shep's. When I woke up here, when I turned up, just started walking, it felt like I was going to see some of you again. And I know I've disappeared for 3 weeks before and came back, and prior to that, everybody forgot you existed, and there was some version of you that lived for 500 years, and then you came back and didn't remember anything. I've always been able to find you again. Just a little later this time, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
So, what? She'll motion to his arm. Tell me all about that. All it ain't just you can move it and stuff proper, right? That's something. Tell me about it.
He stretches his arm out, twists it around a little bit. It moves functionally like a natural living arm. It's just made of finely polished wood. You can actually see some of the grain, like it's meticulously taken care of. There's some scuffs and scrapes in it here and there. There's brass inlay. You can hear a hum, some sort of energy, and the occasional knocking of gears as you listen closely, but it's quiet. It's not like the banging of trains or any of the more heavy cogged equipment. It's more elegant than what you might remember from some of the technology in our home. Yeah, Ori built this for me not long after I returned. I guess I'm not supposed to say that title outside of home. Outside of Candle's Forge.
Uh,
And
speechless.
he points at the little drawing. And little Cheralie drew that for me before I left on another one of my long walks, which is what I'm on right now.
Cheralie, I was just about to say your arm reminds me of your mom's harp. That worn out, well taken care of look. You can tell it's been well loved and finely tuned. So Cheralie, tell me what. And Peach suddenly looks a little more stern. You're gonna go back, right? Because we there's like some future adventure here. This little girl's not going to be waiting for you to come home tomorrow and then you don't show up. Because if you were the kind of dad who did not show up, then you were not the Salinger Morel that I remember.
You will get to meet her. I have talked a lot about you. They have heard stories. She's grown up on them. If you would let me finish, Cheralie Persefina Morel is my 2.5-year-old daughter, and Ori and I have her. Ori saw me at some of my worst. Those long walks, as she calls them, which are a polite way to refer to self-destructive ventures out into dangerous places, looking for people that were gone and lost. I always had to go back to her to fix my arm. And that loss and that fear and that self-destructive bent of trying to find where I'd come from instead of accepting where I was nearly killed me. So of course I'm going back. But these searches are core to who I am, bedrock of our relationship, and she has said quite clearly, you go take your walk or I'm gonna kick your ass. Every year. Because she won't let me give up on who I am and who I was. That's why I love her.
I'm so happy for you, Salinger. Now, all right, I told plenty of stories about you and everything too, about the tavern folks and kids and all. I want to hear the stories you told about me, because you must have had to water those down some for a kid.
To be fair, I've had a little more time to hone my storytelling skills. Though I've aged well, as you pointed out, and I appreciated that. During the fight.
Now I'm embarrassed though, because I didn't know at that time that you was a married man, and I just kind of thought that you gotten a little more mature, and you were always a little bit shy, and I thought maybe that because you got a little bit older, and maybe you got a little. And I mean, I suppose you had, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass you in front of anyone.
I'm still dealing with seeing a ghost. I'm just glad you're alive. I'm not embarrassed. You shouldn't be either. Here, have some troll.
Sooner or later, everyone is able to drift into sleep. First off, everyone gets some inspiration for the fantastic roleplay, but also that night you dream.
Begin with a quote. How do you win against a foe that does not respect the sanctity of death? Sever Thelonious Iscariot, moments before marching to his demise, along with the entire Iscariot Order of the Pale Guard. A man's booming voice rings out across the barren, colorless landscape. In these dark lands of Moraith, those that spit in the face of our queen thrive and multiply. They dance back and forth across the line as if some child's play yard game. Their foul abominations walk openly and without fear. No longer! A massive legion of armor-clad figures respond in unison. Their battle-worn faces stare with steel at the man standing on a desiccated mound before them. His face is smeared with blood, armor dented and singed with ash. A decorative raven of black, emblazoned across his cuirass, seems to flit and tilt its head, keeping an ever-vigilant watch as the man walks atop the low wall of what were once the living. A crack of lightning illuminates the grim dark. An endless sea of undead stand between them and the silhouette of a desolate black castle. The smell of sulfur is inescapable. There's been much sacrifice, brothers. Loved ones lost, taken and twisted, but our efforts have not been in vain. They have brought us here. We shall purge this blight and restore the balance. Here, today, our queen commands it. The ground shakes with each call as cold black rain begins to pour from the sky. The man steps down into the blood-soaked mud. Just as an ornately armored elf with short-cropped blonde hair approaches swiftly and meets him eye to eye. Randonite. The elf's right forearm touches his forehead briefly in salute. The man nods. Numbers. 3-1 now. She's been busy. Prepare the advance. He turns to walk away. Grand Knight. The elf places a hand on his arm to stop him. We've gone non-stop for over a week now. Your men are exhausted. He turns. You want to rest. Here. Lightning flashes again as the din of the approaching horde grows ever louder. The man lets a gentle smile show as he puts his armored hand over the elves. Come now, Sever. We have a war to win. The elf grips harder, pleading. But Ashen, how do you win against a foe that does not respect the sanctity of death? Ashen's smile recedes. We make them. Ashen awakes as if struck by lightning. His sudden jolt dislodges several armored bodies that roll down the pile away from him. His wide eyes follow the movement and land upon 5 men, each holding torches at the base of the pile of corpses. One raises a shaky voice. We were just about to burn this. The wind howls and buffets snow against the rocky terrain as a hunched, cloaked figure shuffles from rock to rock. He reaches out slowly and touches one of the stones and pushes his hand through. As he steps through the illusion, he shakes and pulls the cloak tight, shuffles forward 1 step, 2 step. His face is blue, all the color drained from his lips. He steps forward again and drops one hand. The cloak drapes open, revealing a raven, black and still, on his chest.
Several of you wake from your sleep to see this figure in the mouth of the cave.
He steps forward again and opens one eye and stands up to well over 6 feet and reaches a hand out. Kopera Salinsu.
And that's where we'll end for tonight.
Oh man.
So we should roll up new characters, yeah? He just...
Power word kill everyone.
Well done, you guys. You guys did.
Very tempted to interrupt that momentarily. Just be like, fireball.
It would probably warm him up. Alright, I'm officially in the game now.
Yeah, look at that. We didn't even have to go look for him.
It just appears. I'm sorry, did you say Morith?
Yeah, who's this queen?
There was a mention.
I wonder who that could be.
There's gonna be some problems.
Girl, Carter needs to have established international relations if Astariel is up there in Morith.
Judging from the session, I think you guys already have problems.
That is something that Sav needs to investigate, actually. The passage of time, I mean.
Yeah, we got 15, 10, 6 months, 1 year.
250 years?
250
Stuff apparently
years
happened in
for
that
the
years.
world itself. Yeah.
So, real quick kind of poll. How old are all the AC kids now? Like, Ethan, you said, so is he like 40s?
He would be, I think, in his late 30s. He looks like he's 25.
Yeah. Well, Peach is also half elf. I look great too.
Yeah. It's really funny to think about the ways. I did the little calculation on the ages and just recognized how funny it is. Like, half-elves age at the age that humans should. Like, honestly, like, you should be 60 years old, and you're like, yeah, I look like I'm in late 30s. You know, it's perfect.
Versus Bax seems early 20s.
Yeah, it's. I think on the timeline, he's like 19 to 21. Only because I can't like remember his exact age that I had set him at when that campaign had begun. So like early 20s is kind of what I'm thinking.
We have an amusingly large number of half elves for a campaign that they're not supposed to exist in.
Oh, no.
We have a total of 3.5 elves.
4. Talith. Mosrael?
He's the half. So
I mean,
3 and 1 half.
technically-
half elves.
Isn't that just 2 elves there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 elves and 4. Wait, 2 humans?
Well, it's 4 half elves, so 2 elves.
Okay. Yeah, 2 elves.
Between the whole of you, you're almost worth something.
Ooh.
Ouch.
No, Bax is a slave trader now.
Well, I remember doing the calculations at one point and being like, campaign 12, and being like, between 22 years, there's like 7 round ones.
I want to see between Peach and the other half elves, if all of us know our human parent, and if anything overlaps, and we're secret siblings.
Oh, interesting.
If 2 half elves have children, are their children sometimes elves and sometimes human? Are they half elves? What happens? Somebody
if 2
answer.
centaurs have children, are they sometimes a whole horse?
The way I had done half elves, at least the last time we talked about it seriously, was if you have basically any elven lineage, then you're half elf. So like that's why there were so many half elves.
Yeah.
I see. The 1-drop system.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There were plenty of people who can be half elves. I think it was just that they are not supposed to have many children.
Yes.
Most
Except for one family.
yeah, when they had a lot. Fate corrected that though.
Peach is an only child. Carter was also a half elf. She was one of 2. So, yeah, small families.
I want to stress how happy I am to be playing a goddamn moron once again. It's truly such a relief.
No pressure at all.
Desmond.
It just feels so relieving to not have to worry about like would my character know this? No, he wouldn't actually.
I can tell you now, Chris. I'm so glad you were playing Sav, just because it makes it feel more like a reunion, having 4 characters from there at least. It really helps to, really ties it in. coming back and having 4. That's one of the only reasons. By the way, Isaac, once again, knocked it out of the park. I don't know how long it takes to do these things, but they're so fucking good.
You didn't recognize Casey?
Yep, nope, did not.
He's a little bigger now.
I don't think you described his skin tone, that's all.
He's taller than Casey, taller than Rue. He's taller than both. I remember these things.
It's actually the two of them on each other's shoulders in a trench coat.
Big trench coat.
Explain some of the magic and the hitting.
Because Casey was shorter than Cheralie.
No.
Canon.
You're misremembering.
All right, I'm out of here. That was a really great intro. I'm boarding a flight to California tomorrow. I'll let you guys know if I see Jess. I don't know if that'll happen. I'll be like half an hour away from her, but I'm sick. My sister's probably sick. I haven't heard from Jess. We'll see what happens, but hopefully I'll get to see her and give her a big hug for all of you.
Safe travels.
Have a good
Feel
flight.
better.
Thanks. Pray for me on a 5-hour flight with a 4-year-old with a cold. It's gonna be so much
no.
fun. I'm so excited. It's okay. I also traveled last time with a cold to California, so we're just keeping the streak going. I hope
Stop going
every
to
time I go.
It's
Yeah.
clearly California.
You're allergic to a state.
Stay safe and mask up.
Yeah, you don't get colds when you come to Georgia. Just saying.
It's because I don't know. I have to be around children. It's because I stayed at my friend's house over the weekend to attend that ball, and then I get there and she's like, "My kid's sick, but he'll be upstairs," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm fucked.
Oh. You're gonna be around next week, right?
Yes, I will, and then I will be gone Valentine's Day weekend, but I think the following 2 weeks I should be available. It depends on it's my dad's birthday on the 7th, so it depends on if he wants to do stuff. I'm like, if you don't want to do things, then I'm gonna go play D&D, but if you do want to hang out, it is your birthday.
Oh, well, well, looking forward to seeing you again next week, and yeah, don't get well.
Be well.
All right, good night, everybody. See you soon.
Night.
And then, Sean, some of us will see you 2 o'clock for coffee/tea and maybe tiny cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in Atlanta right now. I was hanging out at the Fern Bank trying to climb dinosaurs while security guards looked at me funny just a few hours ago. That's why I was a little late tonight.
Oh,
Perfect.
I noticed the trying. You can't tell me you didn't succeed.
I'm trying to set a good example for my children. That's also the theme of this
Why?
character. I don't know. Like, feels right. Also, I'm using this cracks me up. The business, like, little office room. There's always like a little business center in hotels. Ain't nobody uses these fucking things anymore. I've just been sitting here for 3 hours. Damn person's walked by. It's great.
Playing D&D.
I used to, for a little while sometimes, if I was running games really early in the morning, you didn't want to wake Tristan up, because we were living in like a studio, like 600 square foot studio. And so I would take my laptop and my gear down to the common room area that was supposed to be, people hang out and whatnot. And I was just trying to run a game while there's like a cleaning lady in the background running a vacuum. People are coming up and being like, why is this lady making voices?
I don't know if you saw me turn my head a few times, but like there was a cleaning crew very loud, like banging across the wall carrying stuff once or twice that jump scared me.
well, it was whatever it was. It was only half as loud as most of Kevin's cats.